Okay, so this is a Voigtländer Bessa R3M. It's a camera that I've been wanting to get for quite a while, primarily because it has 40mm focal length, and I have it paired with the Summicron 40mm. It works ideally for me because I shoot primarily Leica film cameras. I currently have a Leica MP with a 35mm Summilux lens, as well as the 50mm Summilux lens and the 75mm Elmerit. So this camera has been on my list for a while because it actually has all of those options. So 75, 50, and then now pairing it with a 40mm. I've used this 40mm previously with a Minolta CLE, which also has 40mm Framelines. It is really my preferred focal length. It just feels the most natural. I really wish Leica cameras still had that option for 40mm. They do not, so you have to go a bit further back, looking at the Leica CLE, the Minolta CLE, for example. I do shoot the Leica MP with a 35mm Summilux quite a bit, but I just wanted to really get back into the 40mm focal length as it is my preference. Now this camera is amazing for several reasons. The viewfinder is a 1-to-1 ratio, so what you see in the window is what you get. So I'm not sure if that'll show up there. The other benefit over things like the Leica M6 and the Leica MP is that this has a 2000 shutter speed. So it just gives you a little bit more flexibility. The only drawback is that, at least with a 40mm, the lowest I can go on this lens is an f2. I am considering maybe getting a Carl Zeiss or other Voigtländer lens that have a 1.4 option, but maybe down the line. For now, I'll just work with what I have, which is again that 75mm and 50mm, and here 40mm. So this camera I purchased from Japan. It is, in excellent condition. The only thing that I noted was that after doing a first test roll, there were some light leaks kind of in the center of the frame. The most likely culprit is this back mirror where you're able to see the film speed. So I mostly shoot Portra 400, or these days Konica Hexar Pro 400. So what I did was just put a little bit of tape here. I've been shooting now here in Banahachel for just a couple days now, and so now I wanted to load a new roll. So this is Voigtländer Lake. There are, as you can see, 1, 2, 3 volcanoes. I'm not sure if that one down there is as well, but it's a beautiful view. I thought I would load a new roll here. So it's fairly simple. This is the rewind button. I don't believe I need that currently, but here on the front, you pull open this way. It's very similar to many other cameras, and lift up, and the loading mechanism is a little bit easier. I have gotten quite used to loading the Leica MP with this quick load option, but now getting used to this option is a little bit different for me. I did have like I said, the Minolta CLE, but I haven't used that in quite a while. So here we go. Lower that in, and then do a shot. Sometimes it gets a little bit stuck for me. There we go. Once that's loaded there, close that puppy up. Make sure this is all the way down. One fire again. And then obviously, like most cameras, just make sure to check here that the rewind button is actually spinning as advance the frame, and then you know that you're working well. Currently it's still under the first frame. Usually with loading in this manner, you're able to get 38, even 39 frames out of the roll. I know some experts might be able to get 40 and get their money's worth. Not me. So I'm gonna just do a quick shot to load it up. These circumstances now, F8, and a shutter of 250 or 500 usually seems to work best. So that shows that I'm a little bit over still, so I'll go to F11, and that's only slightly over still, so I'll push up to 1000, and I might have to adjust down on the f-stop there between 8 and 11. So that's perfect. Took the first shot, advance forward, and all ready to go. So I love this camera especially. I had purchased the Minolta CLE initially because of those 40mm Framelines, but was grossly disappointed. I already knew this in advance, but the light meter on the Minolta CLE is only available if you're shooting in, I'll do an insert video later, but if you use a aperture priority mode, you're able to use the light meter on that camera. Sometimes you're stuck between, a couple shutter speeds between 250 or 50 or even lower, and then it gets a little bit dicey because the camera just kind of does an in-between type of situation, I believe electronically, and so your frames might not be great when you shoot that way. So the recommended option is, if you compose your frame with a Minolta CLE, that's what you want, but you're stuck between a couple of shutter speeds, I believe the recommendation is then to go to manual mode and pick either 250 or 500 if you were stuck between the two. Obviously it's better to aim to overexpose slightly, so you might use 250, but as soon as you switch into manual mode, that meter is gone. So the Minolta CLE is an excellent camera in a lot of different ways, but that feature is just, in my opinion, quite disappointing and not really favorable to, if you really want to shoot manual, really want to have full control of your camera, then that's not going to work, at least not for me. So with this camera, it's, fully mechanical. This is the R3M. There's the R3A, which is kind of similar actually to the Minolta CLE with the way that it meters. It has a bit more electromechanical, elements to that, whereas this is fully mechanical. The battery is only required here for the meter and nothing more. Everything else is mechanical. Yeah, I mean, this is really the best option that I have found so far for me. Because it does have those 50 and 75, like I said, I have the 50mm Summilux. I'll do an insert in a moment. Alright, so this is what the Bessa R3M looks like with the 50mm Summilux lens. On this camera, you select your frame lines here. So we have the 40-90 pairing, so you see both frame lines simultaneously. And then you switch to 50 to get your 50, and then switch to 75 to get your 75. So the 50mm Summilux on this camera is just amazing. As we all know, the lens is what really makes your shots, not necessarily the camera you're using. I'm actually finding the R3M light meter to be quite reliable. Somehow, for whatever reason, it meters quite well. Sometimes with a Leica MP, it's a little bit trickier in mixed light situations. Throws things off when I do the conversions of the scans, the negatives, I should say. When I have to do conversions of the negatives with Negative Lab Pro, I find that it doesn't really require that much work compared to the Leica MP for whatever reason. Smarter people know why. In my case, it just seems to work better. So the color of this lens matches quite well with the body. So I actually quite like it a lot. Next, I'll go ahead and show the 75mm. So I've gone ahead and mounted the 75mm lens. As you can see, it's quite a bit longer, obviously because of this lens hood, but it's preferable to use it to, work better with the lighting. So that's what that looks like sideways from the bottom. So this is the 75mm Sumerit lens. I believe I mistakenly called it the Elmerit earlier, but it pairs quite well. So I just have to go ahead and make sure to put the 75mm indication there. So for this smaller body compared to the Leica MP or Leica M6, this is certainly narrower, and it really helps. And then obviously the build material, this is very different. It's much lighter and easier to carry for longer periods of time. So I find it certainly beneficial. So yeah, this is the R3M. Absolutely beautiful, gorgeous camera in my opinion. Very super light, easy to carry. Really enjoying this. Quite a lot more than the Leica MP, which I've shot for a couple years now. But yeah, that's it. Thank you very much.